In this video, I will tell you about my CPA exam success story and about the struggles I faced during my CPA exam journey and how I was able to overcome the difficulties I faced in my life to pass the CPA exam. I want you to learn from my CPA exam experience and learn from the mistakes I did in order to have an easier CPA exam path. The message I want to tell you today is that nothing is impossible, and that if you put all your commitment and passion in what you are doing, you will reach your goals. My CPA exam journey was very hard and was not easy as a lot of people think. It is really the most difficult experience I faced in my life. Actually, the person who is behind my success and who encouraged me to study for the CPA exam is my father. He is the reason why I am a CPA and why I am here today. In fact, my father is also a CPA and is my boss at work too. He always told me about his experience with CPA exams and how these 3 letters changed his life forever. My father was the first person to manage a new branch for one of the big 5 international accounting firms, which is Arthur Andersen here in Palestine, and that was in year 1994. And he believed the reason behind this excellent opportunity he had was being a CPA. He believed those 3 letters made a difference in his life and gave him a lot of value and trust from different clients and people. That's why my dad always wanted me and my younger brother, Sulaiman, to become CPAs and follow his path. In early 2007, I graduated from Birzeit University here in Palestine with an accounting major and then worked as an auditor with my dad's audit firm. 2.5 years later, in October 2009, I got engaged to a Palestinian man. When then I decided I must pursue my CPA. At that time, my younger brother Sulaiman was done with his university with an accounting major, so we encouraged each other to study for the CPA exam and sit together for the exams. We bought the Wiley CPA exam review books and started studying during November 2009. Then we submitted our CPA exam application to Colorado State Board of Accountancy. At that time, there were no international locations for the exam, so we had to travel to the United States to take the exams. Our uncles were living in Seattle in Washington State, so we were planning to visit them for a month in the summer to take the exams. Since we had to travel overseas, we were planning to apply for the 4 parts of the exam and take them in one testing window. After receiving our notice to schedule, we scheduled our exams in the following order: the FAR first, then the audit, then the reg, then the business. We had almost 9 months to study for the 4 parts of the exam. I was working from 8 till 5, so I had to find the time to study. During my working days, I used to study 2 hours a day, which was usually from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. And on the weekends, I used to take Fridays off and study Saturdays, like around 7 hours during Saturdays. I started studying with the FAR part of the exam, which consisted of 14 modules. And I planned to study a module each week. So I gave FAR a total of 14 weeks to study the whole material. At the beginning of my studies, I was studying a bit slowly, and that's because I was figuring out the best study method that works best for me. From my university study experience, I used to learn best by reading the textbooks, understanding the concepts, and solving some questions to confirm my understanding. I was not the kind of person that preferred to study with others or relied on lectures to learn the material. So I applied this learning style during my CPA exam study. I used to study 1 module at a time by reading and understanding the material and then solving a portion of the multiple choice questions and task-based simulations to confirm my understanding. I used to study in my room at home and found that studying at the same time on a daily basis makes it much more easier to go into the study mood and better understand what you are studying. Our part actually took 16 weeks of studying and not 14 weeks. I also had to skip 2 modules, which were the governmental and non-for-profit accounting, since I had to move to the audit part of the exam. So I said, okay, let's leave them till my final review, although I never took those subjects in the university, and that was a big mistake I did. I thought they were only 10% of the exam, and I said, okay, leave them till the end. But when I took the exam, actually, I received a lot of questions on those two topics. The next part I studied for was the audit, which consisted of 9 modules, and I gave it 9 weeks to study. The actual audit study went as planned, so I finished everything as I planned. According to my initial study plan, I was supposed to study the rig after the audit, but when I began studying for the rig, I saw the material a bit difficult and new for me, especially that I never took US taxation or business law or US business law before. So I said, okay, let's leave it after the business till the end. And that was also another mistake I did, because at the end I got stuck with time actually. I had to travel and I had to review again the first part I took, so I did not find that sufficient time to study the rig, which needed from me more time maybe than the other parts also. So I studied the business after the audit, and I gave it 4 weeks in my plan, but it actually took me 6 weeks of studying, and it was easy for me. It was not that difficult, especially that I already took economics and finance in the university, and I loved the cost accounting when I was in the university, so I did not face that much difficulty in the business part. After the business, I studied the rig, which was almost at the mid of June 2010 when I began studying my rig, right? And when I began studying for the rig, I was very stressed because I was also we had 1 month to travel to the United States to sit for the exams, and I was thinking about the exams and preparing for my travel, and I had a lot of stuff to do, so I was very stressed. The rig material included 17 modules, so I had to study every week at least 3 modules to finish the rig material in the remaining 6 weeks that I had only. I started with the business law modules first and then planned to go to the taxation topics. I faced a lot of difficulties understanding the business law material, and I had even to read the text 2 or 3 times to understand the material. And I did not have any time actually to practice questions, but I used to solve some examples only. At the end, I studied 9 modules from the rig out of 17 modules, and I realized that 8 of those modules that I studied were business law, and I studied only 1 module from the taxation, which was the individual taxation. I had no time to study the other taxation topics, which were the transaction, impropriety, partnership, and corporate taxation. And that was a big mistake I did too, because taxation actually forms 60% of the exam. Actually, there was a shiny part about the CPA exam no one talks about. People only talk about the bad things the CPA exam does and do not talk about the benefits this exam gives them. For me, this exam gave me something I never imagined in my life. This exam gave me what I want to call the VIP visa to travel to the United States and also to visit Jerusalem, which is a city close here to Ramallah, to my city Ramallah, but it's not easy to visit. That's because I had to sit for my United States visa interview, which was in the American consulate in Jerusalem. Although I was a bit worried and stressed about the visit to Jerusalem, since I have to cross the Qalandia Israeli checkpoint, I was very happy to visit the city. In fact, Palestinians are not allowed to visit Jerusalem unless they have Israeli permits that are not usually given to anybody. So me and my brother went to Jerusalem and we sat for the visa interview, and we were asked in this interview about the reason for us visiting the United States, and I'm like, to take the CPA exams. So after a period of time, we received our visas and we were very happy, and everyone was admiring us because it's not easy those days to make a visa to the United States, right? On July 22, 2010, me and my brother traveled to the United States. It was the first time we visited the United States, so we were very interested and very happy to see this country and to visit it, and also to see my uncles who we did not see from long years ago. Our flight landed in O'Hare Airport in Chicago, and then we had to take another flight from Chicago to Seattle. I remember the security guy in O'Hare Airport asked us about the reason for our visit to the United States, and I'm like, to take the CPA exam. And he's like, wow, that's interesting. Can you tell me a bit about this exam? And I'm explaining to him this exam and talking about it, and then he's like, go ahead. So we were very happy at that time, and we really felt that we were like VIP people. We're not like normal people, because like the CPA exam gave us the strong excuse behind anything we wanted. And everyone who used to know that we were sitting for the exams, that we came to sit for the exams, used to respect us and like give us some value. To learn the step-by-step process to apply and schedule your CPA exams, make sure to get your CPA exam cheat sheet. It's in the link below, in the description below. It is totally free. So make sure to get this cheat sheet, which I give you step-by-step process to apply to your CPA exam and schedule the exam. So I am really thankful for this exam, which gave me a lot of benefits and a lot of value before even passing the exam. After arriving in Seattle, I took one day off to relax and rest after this long journey. There were exactly 2 weeks left for my FAR exam, so I planned to review only the material I was weak in and focus on solving questions as much as I can. I studied also the 2 modules I did not study before, which are the governmental and the non-for-profit accounting. Actually, there was no time left to practice time management strategies and no time left to review all the topics, which made me feel unprepared for the exam. On August 6, 2010, I sat for the FAR exam and I felt I did not do well because I was stuck in time and I had to leave 3 empty task-based simulations because I had no time and the exam closed. And that made me very sad. My brother Sulaiman, however, did well and finished the whole exam. Our next exam was the audit exam, and it was like about 5 days after the FAR exam. And the same thing, like I reviewed the areas I was weak in and I focused on solving questions, and this time I practiced some time management strategies for the exam. So I took the exam and I felt I did better than the FAR. At least I finished the exam and I felt more confident with this exam. After like 6 days, we had the RIG exam. So I had to go again and study the taxation topics I never studied before. And I know like 6 days are not enough to study these topics. So like I went quickly through them. I like studied, I don't know, I can't say I studied everything. I had to skip some things and study things. So I tried my best to cover as much as I can. But of course, it was not enough time to like study the things I did not study before. So I took the RIG exam and I actually felt I did not do good at it. And we also had to take this exam during the month of Ramadan, which also came during these days. So I had also to make some changes to my study schedule because, you know, we have to fast from the sunrise till sunset. The next exam I had to take after the RIG was the business, and I reviewed the material quickly and I solved questions. And then when I took the exam, I felt I did good in business. After finishing the exams, me and my brother enjoyed a couple of days with my uncles and cousins in Seattle. It was a very nice period in my life, and we went to the beach, we had dinner together, and we used to go like visit some places there, and we were very happy to visit this beautiful city actually. Then we traveled back to Palestine, and actually I had to prepare for my wedding, which was during September 2010. So I was very busy and I forgot even about the exams. And after my wedding, I received my CPA Exam Scores, which showed that I passed 2 parts out of 4. So I passed the audit and the BEC, and I failed REG and FAR, and I was very sad to hear this news. My brother, however, passed the 4 parts on his first try and did it. And we were all happy for him, my parents and me and everybody. Like we were like, you are a genius, how did you do it? Like really, like it is a really tough exam and not easy to do, right? So although I was happy for my brother, but I was sad about myself, and I was like, oh my god, I have now to go ahead and study those 2 parts again and travel again to sit for those 2 parts. But I said, okay, I will do it again. And everyone was like encouraging me to go ahead and study them, and you can do it, Allah, don't be broke, you can do it. So I decided to study again for those 2 parts and to take them as soon as possible before I forget the material and before my life responsibilities increase. So like on October, we received like the scores maybe on the first 2 weeks of October, and I planned to sit at the end of November, in the last week of November. So I gave myself like around 6 to 7 weeks to study for the exams. So I made a study plan, and then I began studying. I began with the FAR part again, and I began reviewing the material and reviewing my weak areas. After like 2 weeks of studying and before I traveled to the United States, I felt very, very sick. and like I felt like sick for 3 days, and I could not even go out of my bed, and I was very tired and sick. And when I went to the doctor, he informed me that I was pregnant. This made me very, like, I don't know, to be happy or sad, but I was like, I wanted to finish the CPA exams first, actually. Here I was stuck between two options: either keep the exams as they are or postpone them. And I don't have a lot of time to postpone them. Like, I already have my NTS, and if I want to like delay them, I can delay them only for like 2 or 3 months ahead, right? But I did not know how my health will be doing ahead and what responsibilities I will have. So I said no. I decided I will leave them as they are, and I will go ahead for those 2 parts. So I traveled to Seattle again to sit for the exams, and unfortunately, I felt very sick after arriving in Seattle. I was not able to eat anything, and I could not concentrate in my studies, and I was very tired. And this actually made me not to study well and not to follow my study schedule, and made me like, I couldn't even study good, really. So I sat for the exams, and then I received my scores, of course, which showed that I failed again the 2 parts. And here I was really very broke. Like, I'm like, oh my god, I failed them again after traveling and after like studying again and after all this effort I put. So I was very broke, and then I decided at this time that I want to leave those exams until I see what will happen. But then in July 2011, I gave birth to my baby, and he was a boy. And then a month later, in August 2011, I realized it was exactly 1 year after I passed the 2 parts of the CPA exam. So I had only 6 months left to sit for the remaining 2 parts, which is actually only 1 testing window. So 1 last chance only. This was my last chance, either to go ahead and take the exams and become a CPA, or fail, or not to take them at all. So here I had to decide what I must do. Either give the exams a last try or quit everything and forget about becoming a CPA. But how am I, like, I had a lot of questions in my mind this time, like at that time. How am I going to leave my 2 months feeding baby and travel to sit for the exams? And how am I going to find time to study for the exams? And what will people say about me if I fail again? And I was always like thinking of and saying, why don't I quit everything and forget about all this headache? After deep thinking, like I began thinking again, why did I begin my journey from the beginning? Why do I want to become a CPA from the beginning? And I remembered the benefits I will get from becoming a CPA, and why I started from the beginning, and how those 3 letters changed the life of my dad. And I also thought about my baby and about my family, and said, why not become a CPA to be ahead in my career and provide a better life for me and my family, and become a best version of myself. The good news at that time was that starting from August 2011, students can sit for the exam at international locations. This gave me a lot of encouragement to go ahead and say, yes, I want to sit again for those 2 parts, and I want to give them a last try. So I made a study plan, and then I began studying and reviewing, and this time I had to change a bit from my previous study plan. So here I had to wake up earlier. I had to wake at 4:30 a.m. and then study from 5 to 7 a.m. This time was the best time for me to study because, you know, there's no noise and everyone is sleeping. This time I focused on taxation in the RIG part, solved as many questions as I can. I also studied my weak areas in the FAR exam, including governmental and non-for-profit accounting. On November 24th, 2011, me and my husband traveled to Dubai. And it was the most difficult time in my life because I had to leave my 4 months baby with my parents-in-law and travel. I remember I was very sad and I was crying at that time. But I said, it's okay. It is a sacrifice I must put to pass those exams. And once I pass those exams, I will forget all this pain. So I took the exams, and I did not have any idea how I did. But I asked God to help me and to let me pass this time, and not to let everything go for nothing. So I had some belief inside me that God will help me this time and will not let me lose the thing that I was always dreaming to become, which is the CPA. So after that, I received my scores and they were pass. So I was very happy I passed those two parts after all this long journey and after all those struggles I had in my life. And I was very happy at that time. What I learned from this experience is that nothing is impossible. And even if you fail once or twice or even more, you must never give up and keep going until you reach your goals. For me, this was in fact the most difficult experience I faced in my life, which taught me that nothing comes with ease. To make your dreams come true, you must work on yourself and put all your efforts in time, and most importantly, learn how to be patient until you reach your goals. You must move out of your comfort zone if you are willing to succeed and make a big change in your life. I also learned from this experience that there is no specific study method or easy road that makes you pass the CPA exam. Every person is different and has a different study style that fits best to his personality. What I am confident about is that passing the CPA exam actually requires you to endure pain for a temporary period of time. It is actually the pay price you must give to get a better life and to make a change in your life. So don't be afraid of pain, because happiness doesn't change you, pain does. Tony Robbins said, "The secret of success is learning how to use pain and pleasure instead of having pain and pleasure use you. If you do that, you're in control of your life. If you don't, life controls you." And that's exactly what happened to me. I lived with pain and had to endure the pain until I passed the CPA exam and made my dream come true. As I was able to pass the exams and become a CPA, you can also pass the exams and become CPAs too. Get my CPA Exam Success book from Amazon today. It's in the link below, so go ahead and get this book. In this book, I explain how I was able to pass the CPA exam despite the difficulties I faced in my life, and how my study schedules and study plans exactly looked like. So go ahead and get this book. The link is in the description below. Once you read the book, please go ahead and give it a short review on Amazon. I will be very thankful for you. So focus on your goals and never give up. Be optimistic, and I am sure you will make it.